Right, we're here to talk about your upcoming rally in the Royal Square. Can you tell us what time it's happening and what kind of format it will take? Will there be microphones, speakers, people doing speeches, for example? What do you hope, and also what do you hope it's going to achieve?
The event is on Saturday the 16th of February, starts at 10 a.m. in the Royal Square. We will have 2 or 3 speakers, a couple of survivors who want to speak from their own point, and former Health Minister Stuart Sivray. We'll be using megaphones, as we haven't been given permission to use the electrics from the States.
So you've got no speakers down there, audio speakers, you've not been allowed to use them?
No, so it'll just be a megaphone. We're obviously hoping to achieve higher sentences, which is what the main goal is. Higher sentences. Higher
minimum sentences for paedophiles, is that right?
Yeah, to start off on a minimum, so anyone convicted of these crimes is to serve at least 3 years in prison. Also life on the sex offenders register, which I believe is a must, so they can continue to be monitored. Yeah.
Well, you've obviously you've got a petition. You've had a response because your petition received more than 1,000 signatures. I think it's up to about 2,400 around that mark at the minute. You need 5,000 for it to be debated in the States. And you've had a response from the Home Affairs Minister, Constable Len Norman. And what was his response? And what's your response to his response?
His response was basically that minimum sentences wouldn't work in Jersey, and that he doesn't believe paedophiles should be monitored for the rest of their life on the sex offenders register. He says that he doesn't think that the reoffending rate is high enough, basically, and if people haven't been in trouble for decades, why should they still be on the sex offenders register? My response to that is these people don't change. Obviously, they need to be monitored. It's been proven that people do reoffend. Just because you haven't caught them, it doesn't mean they're not doing it.
Right, yeah. So, okay, but wasn't part of his response saying that they're already tougher than the UK on paedophiles? Did he say something like that?
The Attorney General made a statement saying that we were tougher than the UK on sentences. To that, I can just laugh. Yeah. It's a ridiculous statement. Ridiculous.
I was at the rally for the civil servants pay deal. Very worthy rally. There are quite a number of politicians there. Last Saturday. Have you invited any politicians to your rally? Do you expect to see any, whether invited or not?
I've invited a couple from Reform Jersey. Do I expect to see anyone? No, probably not. People are too scared to come to stuff like this. They don't. No one actually wants to see change.
Do you not think there's a you don't think there's a political appetite for this for your particular cause here? Having a minimum sentence. You don't think there's a political?
I think there is. I mean, there's a couple that seem interested in what I do. That I'm actually supposed to be meeting this week. Whether they'll actually turn up to the protest or not is another story.
Well, let's hope they do, because you are going to need political support either way we look at it. I
hope they do. They're all welcome.
Okay, the mainstream media were reporting that between 500 and 1,000 people turned up for the civil servants pay deal rally last Saturday. Is that the kind of numbers you're expecting, for about 500, 1,000? What sort of numbers do you expect, bearing in mind what a controversial subject this is and not many people like to talk about paedophilia?
I would hope for thousands. That's what I'd want. We all want the same thing. We all want justice. But there's too many keyboard warriors. I expect 100 or less. I hope for a lot more.
Well, I suppose, going by Jersey standards, if you like, even if half of those turned up that have signed the petition, that'll be around about 1,200 people.
Yeah.
For Jersey standards, that's a damn good turnout. And again, I think we just preempted my last question. My next question is basically, do you think there are more keyboard warriors out there than there are those who are willing to make a stand? What I mean by that is everybody's got an opinion on the internet, whether it's a researched opinion or otherwise.
Yeah.
But everybody wants to stand up for something on the internet. So do you think all these people who your supporters are in the thousands? There's no two ways about it. And in Jersey, you have a huge support in the thousands. But are they keyboard warriors, or are they people who want to stand up and stand up for what they believe in and what you believe in?
I think Saturday will tell that. I'd like to think that a lot of them would turn out, and they have said they're going to turn up. I'd like to think that a fair few of my followers would show their support, but you know, it is Jersey, and there is a lot of keyboard warriors.
Do you think there's a fear factor in there as well? Because when we've had child abuse rallies in the past, you know, people have stood on the sidelines and come up to us and said, "We think, you know, what you're doing is very, very brave, but you know, I've got a mortgage to pay. I work for the states." And do you think fear still plays a big factor in speaking up and speaking out against controversial subjects like paedophilia?
Yeah, 100%. When I was in town last week getting signatures for my hard copy petition, I had quite a few people come up to me and say that they couldn't make the protest because they didn't want to be seen because they work for the states, or they're teachers, or you know, they've got jobs up there, and a few of them won't be turning up even though they show support for it.
Got full support for it. It's a damning indictment, really, isn't it, on our states that people are still ruled by fear?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Just to get a couple of stats out, if I'm right, you're responsible for helping convict 12 child predators, online predators, child predators, and you have 100% conviction rate. Is that right?
Yeah, I've got 13 in Jersey, 3 in the UK, and 2 currently pending in Guernsey.
So that's significant, like, you know. But as a result of that, I've read it myself, the abuse that you've taken online. What do you think that says about people? You've helped convict people who want to harm our children, but you suffer abuse for it. How does that make you feel?
Doesn't really bother me. Goes in there and out there.
Really? Is it that?
Yeah. It doesn't bother me. I think if you're that torn up about what I do and you don't like it that much, you'll just want to add to the watch list, aren't you, really?
But what does it say about us as an island if here we have yourself with putting 100% conviction rate against online child predators, and people are abusing you because of it? What do you think? What kind of a message do you think that sends out to the wider world? Obviously, we're on the World Wide Web. What do you think it says about people? My argument's always been, people have always accused us, the bloggers, who have been telling the truth, the facts, the evidence, all through the child abuse cover-up. We're seen as the enemy of Jersey, and that we dislike our island. When the truth is the opposite. We love our island. We just don't love the way it's being run. So. And now you're a victim of this abuse that we've been suffering all this time. How does it make you? How do you think it makes us look on the world stage when somebody who's getting paedophiles convicted is being attacked?
It's just standard, really, isn't it? I mean, look what happened to the former health minister, Stuart Sivray. People don't like people that make change. People don't like people that speak the truth. It's just one of them. It's the way Jersey is. It always has been, and it will continue to do as well. Be the same.
You don't think we could ever change it? Do you think it's gone beyond any way of being able to change this culture? I don't think it's
as bad as what we think it is. I mean, abuse online, apart from some family members, maybe from the people I've caught, or friends, there's about 3 or 4 people that sit off on one Facebook page and give me some hassle every now and then. I don't listen to it. Pointless. It's taken up precious time that I could be using to safeguard children. So
credit to you. So what do you say to those out there that say you should be leaving all this to the professionals? You know, what you're doing is entrapment. But you know, because the way I look at it is like, didn't the Care Inquiry and Operation Rectangle show us that it was the professionals who have been abusing our children and covering it up? You know, that said, there are some very hard-working, diligent workers in childcare, you know, who are in it for the right reasons. But when people say to you, leave it to the professionals, you know, what thoughts do you have then?
Look how much has been left to the professionals, and look what's been done. Look at the state we're in because of the Care Inquiry, the Haute de la Garonne, Le Cheyenne. That was all left of the professionals, and they raped our children. And
covered it up. You know, we've seen that in the Care Inquiry. Yeah. Do you think you should be having to do what you do? No, of course not. No one should be having to do a police's job or, you know, law job. No one should be. But here I am. Yeah, and credit to you for it. So, Okay, Cheyenne. Thanks again for for the work you're doing and for the interview here. And can you just remind us when and where this rally is?
The rally is on the 16th of February, 10 a.m. in the Royal Square. And I just wanted to point out as well to those who have been reading little bits on Facebook, this rally isn't to try and get a 16-year-old boy who's slept with his 15-year-old girlfriend onto the sex offenders register for life, or to get them serving 3 years in prison. A paedophile has got to be at least 16 years of age and the child 5 years younger. This is not to do with convicting young kids having sex with each other consensual. This is to do with predatory paedophiles who rape and abuse our children.
Well, with that in mind, wish you the best of luck for your rally, and hopefully we'll be reporting on it after Saturday. We hope to film some of it.
Thank you very much.